Imagine you're lost in the vast, freezing expanse of the Antarctic Ocean. The air is so cold it hurts to breathe, and the water below is a dark, choppy mystery. If you were to peer into those depths, what do you think you'd see? Maybe tiny fish? Or clouds of microscopic plankton? Now prepare to be surprised, because what's actually down there is far more incredible. Spiders with leg spans wider than a dog, crawling across the seafloor. Jellyfish with tentacles longer than the largest whales, drifting silently in the gloom. Even the most normal-looking creatures are abnormally gigantic. This isn't a scene from a fantasy novel. This is real. This is the world of polar gigantism, a bizarre and fascinating rule of nature that only occurs in the coldest oceans on our planet. And it challenges everything we think we know about survival. You'd assume that in a place where everything is frozen and food is scarce, animals would get smaller to save energy, right? But nature loves a paradox. Here, the complete opposite happens. Life doesn't shrink, it supersizes. So what force is twisting the rules of evolution? How can such a harsh environment create the longest animal on Earth? And what is the hidden fragility behind these frost giants? The answers are more surprising than you might think. Stick with us until the end to uncover the secret world of the planet's most unlikely giants. To truly grasp polar gigantism, we need to examine its most famous ambassador, the colossal squid. Now, many people mistake this creature for a product of the deep sea, but the truth is even more specific. Colossal squids are almost exclusively found in the frigid waters surrounding Antarctica, swimming in temperatures at or below 0 degrees Celsius. Because of the salt content, the water doesn't freeze, but make no mistake, this is an insanely cold environment. To thrive here, you need a unique set of adaptations. Here's a fact that might surprise you. The colossal squid is actually a type of glass squid. Yes, you heard that right. Glass squids are a family of small, often translucent creatures that look delicate, almost like they're made of glass. So how did we get from a see-through squid to a heavyweight champion? This is polar gigantism in its purest form. In the freezing darkness, transparency loses its advantage. The colossal squid's evolutionary path traded that see-through body for thick, dense flesh, a fantastic form of natural insulation. But this didn't mean giving up on stealth. Their bodies are covered in a reddish skin that acts like a cloak of invisibility in the deep, absorbing the faint bioluminescent glows of potential prey instead of reflecting them. You'll never see it coming. When you're this massive, your list of predators is very short, pretty much just the occasional sperm whale. So your body isn't designed for a quick escape, it's engineered for the ambush. You are the hunter. But this still leaves us with the fundamental question, why grow so large in the first place? The answer isn't an abundance of food. It's something far more fundamental, dissolved in the water itself. The secret ingredient is oxygen. Cold water has a simple, crucial physical property. It can hold far more dissolved oxygen than warm water can. Think of a cold soda fizzing with gas compared to a flat, warm one. Now, for all animals, a larger body requires more oxygen to fuel its cells. It's a basic demand of biology. In warm tropical waters, there simply isn't enough dissolved oxygen to support supersized creatures. It's a natural brake on growth. But in the polar oceans, that brake is released. The water is saturated with oxygen, providing an unlimited fuel source for larger bodies. With this oxygen bounty available, the evolutionary pressure to stay small vanished. Over millions of years, this constant surplus encouraged the ancestors of the colossal squid to grow larger and larger. And as they became giants, they shed their delicate glass-like appearance. A larger body is also more efficient at storing energy and retaining heat, creating a powerful evolutionary cycle. Get bigger to survive or perish. But this raises another point. What about the giant squid? They're enormous, but they don't live in these polar waters. How did they get so big? This is where a related phenomenon, deep-sea gigantism, comes into play. Giant squids benefit from the stable, high-pressure environment of the deep sea. The colossal squid, however, is a rare and spectacular case of a double whammy. It combines the oxygen-rich bonus of the polar oceans with the profound stability of the deep sea. This powerful combination is likely why colossal squids hold the title of the largest invertebrates on the planet. While they may not be longer than a giant squid, they are far more massive, with some individuals weighing over 1,000 pounds. That's more than double the weight of their warmer water cousins. Sea spiders, giants on stilts. The colossal squid is a dramatic example, but is one creature enough to prove a scientific rule? Let's look at a different animal that makes the case even more undeniable: the sea spider. Take a look at a typical sea spider from a warm, sunny coral reef. To be clear, these aren't true spiders, but a group called pycnogonids. They're tiny, delicate, often no bigger than your thumbnail. Now find a member of this same family in the Antarctic Ocean, and the difference is staggering. Antarctic sea spiders can measure over 2 feet across. They are, genetically, the same type of animal as the tiny one, but transformed into a giant by their environment. So what's the mechanism here? It's the same principle that transformed the glass squid. Cold water equals more oxygen. But for sea spiders, this is supercharged by a unique biological trait. They don't have gills. They breathe directly through their skin, and their legs are the primary site for this gas exchange. Look at the freakish length of those legs. That's a massive surface area designed to absorb every possible molecule of oxygen from the water. But what does a giant sea spider actually do all day? They aren't agile hunters like crabs or lobsters. Instead, they are slow, deliberate predators. They walk across the sea floor on those stilt-like legs, stepping over obstacles like sponges and corals. When they find a soft-bodied animal like an anemone or a starfish, they use a long, needle-sharp proboscis to pierce its body and suck out the fluids, essentially drinking their prey like a milkshake. And speaking of starfish, in the Antarctic, they have undergone a transformation that is both fascinating and slightly terrifying. Starfish, the 50-armed predators. The Antarctic doesn't just make animals bigger, it sometimes makes them stranger. We all recognize a starfish with its 5 arms. But down here, evolution has been experimenting. Some Antarctic starfish species have over 50 arms sprouting from their central disc. They didn't just grow larger. Evolution seemingly decided to add as many arms as it could. Why? In a highly competitive environment, more arms might mean a better ability to capture food or dominate territory. Most starfish are already predators, often using their powerful arms to pry open clams. But Antarctic starfish take it to another level. They are so aggressive that they will readily hunt and eat other starfish. In the brutal economy of the deep freeze, it seems the individual with the most arms often wins. This gigantism also brings incredible longevity. While a warm water starfish might live for about 5 years, its Antarctic cousin can survive for over 40. In this cold world, everything from metabolism to life itself operates in slow motion. The power of polar gigantism is so profound that it has produced the longest animal known to science, the lion's mane jellyfish. If you were to lay its tentacles out alongside a blue whale, the jellyfish would be notably longer. Now, the blue whale is undeniably more massive, but this comparison highlights the sheer scale of what's possible in the poles. To see the polar effect in its clearest form, compare the lion's mane to a close relative from warm waters, like the blue jellyfish. The difference is staggering. The blue jellyfish is small, never pressured by its environment to become massive. The cold, it seems, is the ultimate catalyst for unchecked growth in these cold-blooded creatures. By now, you might be thinking, is oxygen alone really enough to cause all this? Can it really make spiders grow to the size of dinner plates? While oxygen is the primary driver, it's not the whole story. The cold environment itself provides other critical advantages that make gigantism a sustainable strategy. First, metabolism slows down dramatically in the cold. Chemical reactions, movement, and digestion all happen at a snail's pace. This means a large body becomes incredibly energy efficient. It burns less fuel per pound of mass than a smaller, warmer-bodied equivalent. Being big in this context is simply more economical. Secondly, the polar ocean is one of the most stable environments on Earth. The temperature is consistently near freezing, the pressure is constant, and major predators are few and far between. There is no evolutionary pressure to be small and fast to evade danger. These animals can afford to be massive, slow, and built like fortresses, a strategy the colossal squid has perfected. This probably leads to another question. If the cold makes cold-blooded animals giant, what about warm-blooded ones? A polar bear is much larger than a sun bear. An emperor penguin dwarfs a tropical parrot. Isn't that also polar gigantism? This is a crucial distinction. Polar gigantism, as a scientific term, applies specifically to cold-blooded animals. Cold-blooded creatures, ectotherms, like squid and spiders, rely on the environment to regulate their body temperature and absorb oxygen directly from the water. For them, cold water is a perfect package: more oxygen, slower metabolism, and no energy wasted on heating themselves. Warm-blooded animals, endotherms, like bears and penguins, face a completely different challenge. They must burn a constant amount of energy, a lot of it, just to stay warm. The bigger they get, the more calories they need to consume. In the polar regions, where food is notoriously scarce, every extra pound of body mass comes with a huge metabolic price tag. So why are they bigger? This is explained by a different principle called Bergmann's rule. Bergmann's rule states that within a broadly distributed group of animals, populations and species in colder climates tend to be larger. But the reason has nothing to do with oxygen. It's all about heat retention. A larger body has a smaller surface area relative to its volume. This means less body surface is exposed to the cold and thus they lose heat more slowly. It's a built-in insulation strategy. That's why polar bears are the largest bear species, and emperor penguins are the largest penguins. The extra bulk helps them conserve precious warmth, but there's a strict limit. Becoming too large is a liability because you simply can't find enough food to fuel that immense furnace. This is why the woolly mammoth was huge, but never reached the incomprehensible scale of a colossal squid. In short, Bergmann's rule gives you bulk for warmth, but it never allows for the runaway growth we see in the cold-blooded world. Giants of the microscopic world. Perhaps the most telling sign of this phenomenon is that it extends all the way down to the base of the food chain. Let's talk about plankton. Most copepods, a common type of zooplankton, are so minuscule you need a microscope to see them. They measure a fraction of a millimeter. Enter the Antarctic copepod. This is the polar gigantism version of plankton. They are nearly 10 times heavier than their tropical counterparts and can grow up to a centimeter in length. That's big enough to see with the naked eye, a dark speck swimming in the water. To us, that's still small. But in the world of plankton, these creatures are absolute leviathans, proving that the drive towards gigantism in the cold permeates every level of the ecosystem. Now, to add another layer of complexity, not every animal in the polar oceans became a giant. For a select few, the evolutionary path led in the opposite direction, toward a phenomenon called polar dwarfism. This is much rarer, but it's a smart survival strategy for some. Certain Antarctic fish species, like some icefish and snailfish, are noticeably smaller than their relatives in warmer waters. Why would this be? In these extremes, food availability can be unpredictable. It's not always about maximum size, sometimes it's about speed and efficiency. Evolving a smaller body means you require less food to survive, you can reach sexual maturity faster, and you can reproduce more readily. When your feeding window is only a few months a year, being small and having a rapid reproductive cycle can be the key to your species' survival. It may not be as spectacular as becoming a giant sea monster, but it's a brilliant and effective way that life finds a way to endure. A profound side effect of this frozen world is that it doesn't just change what evolves, it changes the very pace of evolution. In the polar ocean, life is in slow motion. Chemical reactions are sluggish, metabolisms are low, and reproductive cycles are drawn out. For some Antarctic species, a single generation can span decades. We've already seen how starfish can live for over 40 years. This glacial pace of life means the process of evolution itself is decelerated. It already operates on a scale of millions of years, but here, it's even slower. Many of these species are living fossils, virtually unchanged from the ancestors that swam beneath the Antarctic ice sheets tens of millions of years ago. Lineages of sea spiders, urchins, and fish have remained almost static since before humans walked the Earth. With no drastic seasonal shifts, the environment is hyper-stable. The species here are perfectly fine-tuned for a world that is predictable, constant, and cold. And this system has worked flawlessly for eons. But this incredible stability is also the ecosystem's greatest vulnerability. When your entire biology is built for a world that never changes, you are exquisitely sensitive to any shift. Polar giants have one massive weakness. They are engineered for stability, not for adaptability. Their entire existence is predicated on water that remains freezing, dense, and saturated with oxygen. Compromise those conditions, and the entire foundation of their world crumbles. Warmer water holds less oxygen. Warmer temperatures speed up metabolism, turning those massive, efficient bodies into energy-guzzling liabilities. The very animals that once ruled the frozen deep could begin suffocating, struggling to fuel their immense frames. Take one of these giants and place it in a warm tropical ocean, and it would perish quickly, overwhelmed by the heat and oxygen deprivation. This is not a distant, hypothetical future. It is already beginning. As our global oceans warm, oxygen levels are declining. Scientific studies have documented that the maximum sizes of sea spiders are already shrinking in regions where the water temperature has risen slightly. While colossal squids are far harder to study, the logic is inescapable. If the water warms, they too will be forced to shrink or face extinction. It's a sobering thought. These creatures are living relics, a direct window into an ancient world. And they are no threat to us. The number of recorded human deaths from colossal squids is 0. They are ghosts of the deep, hidden from our world. The story of polar gigantism shows us that when you freeze an ocean, life doesn't retreat, it doesn't die, it just gets giant. It's one of the most strange and beautiful paradoxes of our natural world. These frozen giants are a testament to life's incredible ingenuity, but they are also a stark warning. They are perfectly adapted for a specific, stable world, a world that is now changing at an unprecedented rate. Their future is hanging in the balance. Understanding their story is crucial. It helps us appreciate the delicate, intricate balance of our planet's ecosystems. If we want these magnificent, otherworldly creatures to continue thriving in their frozen realm, we must pay attention to the changes happening in our oceans and act to protect their fragile environment. The secrets of the deep are still being discovered, and the fate of its giants is intertwined with our own. If you found the mysterious world of polar gigantism fascinating, we have another deep dive into oceanic wonders waiting for you. Discover the truth behind the world's deadliest jellyfish in our next video. You might be surprised which one is truly the most dangerous. Check it out here, and thanks for exploring the depths with us.